Alabama A&M head coach James Spady. Coach, are you on the line?
Yes, sir.
Conference recording started.
Well, great to have you, Coach, again here on the teleconference call as we start week 2. Alabama A&M lost to UAB 38-7 this past week. This week they will travel to Vanderbilt for a 3 p.m. kick on the SEC Network alternate. Coach, your opening remarks on the game against UAB.
Well, we went in there and competed. That was what I was proud of. Our football team didn't back down. They never back down, and I wasn't surprised, but I was pleased about that. Through about 3 quarters, the game is still in question. Their depth and their ability to play a bunch of bodies was the difference in the outcome of the game. And let's make no mistake about it. That is exactly why they were able to wear us down and get to a point where they could win the football game. We felt like we could compete with them. Like I said, I was proud of the fact that our guys, they had a mindset of preparation prior to the game that I haven't seen since I've been here. And I've touted this football team as a competitive group of guys that only want to win football games, and that made me very proud to be a part of. Got to roll up our sleeves and get back to work because we're going to play a Vanderbilt football team that I'm watching them on film right now as we speak, and this is a really good football team. They're also going to have the kind of depth that could wear us out, wear us down, if you will, not wear us out, but wear us down. And so we're going to have a plan, and that's what we're engaged in right now, is trying to put together a plan, a game plan, and a substitution plan that will allow us to be as competitive as we can be and try to win the football game.
All right, very good, Coach. Do we have any questions for Alabama A&M head coach James Spady?
Coach, can you talk about the performance of your freshman quarterback, Aquil Glass?
He acquitted himself well. I don't like. I'd like for us to be a little bit better in terms of completion percentage, and that's going to get better as we go. We said at the beginning that this kid was going to have some freshman growing pains, but that we felt like he is the guy that gives us the best chance to win. As you can see, we were able to go right along with our original plans. He started the game and he played significant plays, and we played the backup. Damian May would have played Dylan Smith if he was available, but he's dealing with an arm injury that he sustained sometime during training camp. So, make a long story short, he's our guy. He's the horse that we're going to ride. But you know what? We're going to also put a lot of faith and a lot of trust in the backup quarterback as well. He will play, considerable playing time throughout the rest of the season as long as he's healthy.
Hey, Coach Lute Williams from the Black College Sports page. How are you this morning?
Good morning, Lute. How are you?
I'm doing fine. What was the deal with Jordan only getting 4 carries?
Jordan twisted his ankle, and you know what? I have something to say about that, and I'm glad you asked the question. Jordan told me himself that someone was twisting his ankle in the pile, and I mentioned it to the ref crew. Of course, they're not going to do anything about it. They're just going to give me the standard, Coach, we'll look out for that kind of response. And I think that we're supposed to be about the safety of our football team. And we might have lost our top football player because of something dirty, something just sinister that one of those kids did to him without any provocation. And if you can tell the passion in my voice right now, it really angers me because he might have made the difference in whether or not we could run the football later on in the game. I don't know. I'm not going to make any excuses, but I can tell you that having him on the field makes us better than not having him on the field.
Well, let me ask you this, Coach, because I watched several of the FCS versus FBS games this weekend, and it looks like a lot of times the FBS teams try to play overly physical, past the whistle, late hits, kind of thing that you're talking about. What is a way that kind of thing can be addressed? Because as you know, there was a couple of HBCU FCS teams that got some big upsets this week over FBS teams. Howard beat UNLV, Tennessee State beat Georgia State. But in both of those games, there was this kind of an intimidation factor. Did you find that going on in the games, and what can you do to address it?
Well, first of all, I fundamentally disagree with you about that. I'm not going to go there. I don't believe in that at all. I think that young men are young men, and if they have the ability to play football, one is not going to be more aggressive than the other because of the status of his university. So FBS, FCS has nothing to do with aggression. I am teaching my team every day to play with class, win or lose with class. And I think that that's the way it should be handled. No, I can't put it all on the referees, although they are supposed to be out there to protect these football players. But, I mean, it is a violent sport. And so it's not completely their responsibility. But us as coaches, it's our job to make sure our kids understand what winning with class looks like or what losing with class looks like. That's our responsibility, and I take it very seriously.
Coach Ty Miller, good morning to you.
Good morning, Ty.
All right, Coach, what other injuries did you sustain in this game? And if anything, what did you learn in the UAB game that could be effective or help you in the game against Vanderbilt this week?
Oh, we learned a lot of things about what could be effective for us going forward. Every day you can find things that you can tweak or that you can work on that make you fundamentally better as a football team. So for me to list one or two things we could be here all day if I did that. But let me just tell you that we're gonna learn a lot of things from that game that will allow us to go forward. I can tell you that right now we've already identified some things that we'd like to be able to put into practice in terms of different formations and personnel groupings. And stuff like that. As far as injuries are concerned, we lost Jordan for I think he went out somewhere early in the first quarter and didn't make it back for the rest of the game. I don't think it's a season-ending injury. I think it's something that we're going to have to manage, his number of reps, how he practices, blah, blah, blah. We also lost Teray Callaway, who's a very important piece in our secondary. He has an MCL injury. He's got a doctor's appointment today to find out whether there's any further damage to it than just an MCL, and I don't mean to diminish that it's just an MCL, but I think that's really important. We lost one of our offensive linemen to a high ankle sprain, and we lost one of our linebackers to a shoulder injury. Part of the reason I'm so passionate about the officiating and protecting our football players is Armani Holloway, they're twins, and so I get them confused sometimes, but Armani Holloway, his injury was a direct result of what I think was a very shady, and I'm using that term, a very shady block from an offensive lineman at UAB. The guy twisted him to the ground. We didn't get a holding call on it at all, but the young man ended up with a shoulder injury as a result of something that's clearly on film that should have been called. And that's more injury information than I've ever given since I've been a head coach, by the way.
We appreciate it, Coach. Thank you.
Coach, Kenny Davis just named Defensive Player of the Week. Can you talk about the importance?
Stopped.
I appreciate that, but bringing Kenny Davis's name up. Kenny Davis just continues to play well, and I'm glad that folks are starting to see, the way this guy plays. He just makes plays from sideline to sideline, and he's done it for the last 3 years, and he's finally getting some recognition for it, and I'm so happy for him I don't know what to do.
Appreciate it, Coach Spady. We're going to move on to our next coach. We have Brian Jenkins from Alabama State on the line.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Conference recording started.
All right, Alabama State lost to Tuskegee 14-6 this past week. They will play at Troy, 5 p.m. kickoff. Game can be seen on ESPN3. Coach, you have opening remarks for this past weekend against Tuskegee.
It was a hard-fought football game. It was an exciting game, I'll tell you that. And hat goes off to Tuskegee and their organization. They came in ready to play, and they lined up, and they beat us, but it was some good that I saw in the game. We had 400 yards offense. We held them to under 200 yards offense. And, I think we played good at quarterback. But the things that would kill any football team at any time, no matter who you play, is what came in the play for us. I mean, turned the ball over twice, gave up a blocked field goal, missed the field goal, didn't score when we were inside the 5-yard line, on 2 series, as well as, 15 to 17 penalties for 150 yards, which is just unbelievable on my end, even though I thought the referees did a good job. There was a couple calls there that I thought were questionable, but who am I? I'm the coach, not the ref, so, they called it, and, that's the way it is. So we just got to get better as a football team of not putting ourselves in that position to where those penalties take effect and not turn the ball over. So there's no excuse. Tuskegee lined up and did what good football teams do, take advantage of other miscues and of their opponent, and they walked away with victory.
Appreciate that, Coach. I'll open it up for any questions for Alabama State head coach Brian Jenkins.
Williams, Coach, good morning. Talk about the play of your quarterback. I understand he went out and came back in, threw a touchdown pass late. How do you think Kobe played?
I think Kobe played good for it to be his first college game. He went out, not the injury or anything. We wanted to take a look at the other guy as well, and everybody knows that I like to play multiple quarterbacks, but we wanted to take a look at a little bit more veteran guy that we have in our program, who we think is good enough to be the trigger puller as well. So, but Kobe, re-entered the game and was still focused and was able to finally lead us to a score. So I think Kobe played well, and I still think D.J. Pearson has a role, as well as Jimmy, who's our other quarterback. I think all three of those guys will see a lot of playing time, maybe all in one game and at some point in time or in different games. But I think Kobe did a phenomenal job. If you look at it, we've probably thrown the ball better than we've ever thrown it, and the most we've ever thrown it, because we finally got guys that we feel can really put it in the air and make the right decision. So, to be over 50% and pass completions is really good, and when you're like that, you should be able to win ball games. But we just didn't get it done, and like I say, the things that you can't do, we did multiple times, and it worked against us, which it would work against any football team. And when you're playing a good football team like Tuskegee is, things like that can't happen. But for the most part, I think Kobe has done a good job and has a bright future.
More frustration than anything else with the penalties and the turnovers, and the fact that you almost outgained them 2-1.
Absolutely, very frustrating, because at no point in time did they stop us. We stopped ourselves, and that's the worst thing, and that's what I've been talking to my team about. We can't allow Alabama State to beat Alabama State, and that's what happens. And like I say, I don't want to take anything away from the effort or the play of Tuskegee, because they did a phenomenal job. They did. They did a really good job, and they won the ball game. You can't take that away from them. But, the contributions that we made on the wrong end did not put us in a position to win the ball game, and that's what's frustrating. 400 yards offense, and the defense only gives up one touchdown, and hold them combined passing and running to under 200 yards. You can only walk away with frustration and amazement, because at the end of the day, when you look at it, that's a pretty good output of production on both sides of the football. But
right.
Like I say,
Coach, I know.
Right. Go ahead.
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, four plays, just cost us the game, and we just can't do things like that.
And let me ask you, if nobody else has a question, of those 17 penalties, I'm sure you've tracked them. Which ones were the most glaring? Were they pre-snaps, or were they defensive?
Yeah.
I'm sure it had to be a range of all, but which one was maybe the ones that irked you the most?
Well, that irked me the most, the false starts, on our end, offensive line, jumping or different things like that. That's what gets me the most. A couple penalties that they call holding on, the refs were on point. They were good calls. There was one or two calls that, it could have went either way. The play was totally opposite of where it happened, but hey, they called it, and they got to call the game how they see it. So I have no qualms or questions about that. Like I said, it's a couple calls that I disagree with, but for the most part, I think it was a very, very, very good, officiated game. They kept control of everything. They never let anything get out of hand. And, like I said, the glaring penalties were the false starts and different things like that. And I'm just frustrated because we had such a good camp. Our guys have been very, very disciplined and detailed, and for whatever reason, we didn't carry it over into the first game. And that's where my frustration lies. But I tell you what, I'm still excited about this football team. I still think we got a good football team. And like I told our coaches, we got to have our guys ready at the right time. And we just got to keep going. It's not to be discouraged. We're hurt that we lost this game, because I really wanted this game, and it was very important. But nevertheless, I can't allow this one game to dictate the result of our other 10 or 11. We can still reach our goals, and we're going to still work to do that.
Let me help you move on, Coach, by talking about Troy. What kind of challenge is that going to be?
That's going to be a real tough challenge. Troy's a good football team. That their head guy and their staff has done a phenomenal job over there. And I tell you what, they watch film defensively. They are very, very good. They got some deep tackles that really get after it. Secondary is probably one of the best I've seen in a very, very long time. And I'm truly impressed with that football team. So, we're going to have our hands full, but we're not going to lay down. It's going to be another exciting venue. And hopefully this time when we take the field, we'll be more disciplined and detailed, and be able to hopefully finish some drives and just get prepared to play a tough football team. But Troy is a very good team. They're very well coached. They're very talented. And, I'm excited about having a chance to line up against them.
Thanks, Coach. Good luck.
Thank you.
Conference recording stopped.
We appreciate that, Coach Jenkins.
All right. Thank you, guys. You guys take care.
Do we have Fred McNair on the line?
Yeah, you got it. Yes, sir, I'm on.
Coach, how you doing today?
I'm doing good, man.
Conference recording started.
All right, we have Alcorn State head football coach Fred McNair now on the line. They defeated Miles College 51-20 this past weekend. They'll play at FIU, 6:30 kickoff on Saturday. It'll be shown on beIN Sports. Coach, you have some opening remarks from this past week's against Miles College.
Yeah, I thought from all phases of the game, I thought we played pretty hard and pretty tough. Coach Ruffin brought a real good Miles College football team in here on campus. They were very physical up front. Secondary was very long and lengthy, so they played pretty good. They played a great game. We had a few turnovers there, a couple of interceptions, one for a pick six, and we were unable to force some turnovers there. We forced 3 turnovers, and we recovered them all and getting the ball back to our offense. And I thought that, on the offensive side of the ball, we had some holding calls there that we can't tolerate to have. And, just those penalties, having 17 for 166, kind of shot ourselves in the foot on those penalties. We just got to get better at that. I think by some of the guys' over-aggression play caused some of the holding penalties and the way they played. But I'm not going to fault that. For them playing hard, though, we just got to get better at the penalties.
All right, we'll open it up for questions for Alcorn State head coach Fred McNair.
Coach Luke Williams from the Black College Sports Page. How are you this morning?
How you doing, Luke? Pretty good, man.
Which one you more pleased with? The running game output 314, I think it says, or the passing game that threw for 279?
Well, I guess I was kind of excited about both of them, but if I had to weigh one, I'm more excited about the passing game because we had a lot of guys out last year to get a chance to play. A lot of guys didn't catch passes last year. They caught passes in this game, and I thought we distributed the ball very well. We had 8 different guys to catch passes, and Lenoir did a great job. Other than the 2 turnovers he had, 2 interceptions, one for a pick six was able to bypass to the side there, and just threw it right to him. Even the linebacker, the one that caught the interception. But other than that, I think they was pretty flossy, and then they played very well. And got to be more disciplined in our route running, I think. From that standpoint, but the passing game was very well, and of course the running game, it saves a lot for us too. It opened up the passing game for us because of the things that we can do running the football. And I thought 314-yard rushing were very good. I thought the Lance Turner and P.J. Simmons did a great job of running the football.
Where does P.J. Simmons come from, Coach?
Well, he's a JUCO kid we got from Florida. Played at Holmes in Mississippi here, but he's a great guy, great runner. Very talented guy.
Talk about what it means to have Warford back. I see he was productive in every kind of way he touched the ball.
Well, after the Bethune-Cookman game last year, then he played in the Pine Bluff game last year, and he re-injured his shoulder. But this kid here is he's electrifying, man, and that's the thing that he can do when he touches the ball. And him playing now and just coming back kind of open up things a little bit more for us. Also in our passing game, he had 8 catches in the passing game, so. He's very versatile in receiving and returning punts and kicks. So, he brings a lot to the table when you talk about establishing some offense and some return yardage.
Go ahead and tell us a little bit about what you know about Florida International.
Well, just watching them and just watching them on film and everything. They're a very physical football team. They got some good guys up front. The linebackers are very tough, and they very talented, man. It's going to be a hard-fought game for us. We just got to go down there and try and play a perfect ball game, and mistake-free and try to get a win from down there, man. But I think Bush Davis is going to have those guys ready to play after coming off of a loss against Central Florida last week. He had those guys ready to play, and I'm quite sure that the players will be ready to play, after that defeat last week. we just got to play a solid ball game through all phases of the game, you know. So if we continue to do what we're doing and eliminate some of the penalties and stuff like that, I think, you know, we have a chance, you know, against a good Florida FIU team.
They were handled pretty handily by Florida, by Central Florida. What was the score of that game?
It was like 61 to something, 24, I believe it was. But you know, the deal I think was that Central Florida they was a very talented team. Offense, they were explosive. The quarterback were very good. You know, just kind of made some throws and made some plays for them. You know, I think, the over aggression I think of FIU defense kind of took effect in their play. Kind of took away some things from the side of the ball. You know, but just looking at them, you know, they're a very aggressive team, and hopefully we can just go out there and compete.
You ever coached or played against the Butch Davis team?
No, I don't think not one coach ever played against Butch Davis. He's at North Carolina, and he's at the University of Miami, and I don't have one coach that I think ever played against old Butch.
Thanks, Coach. Good luck on Saturday.
All right, thanks a lot, man.
Coach, this is Peter from the conference office. Just wanted you to get some comments about Marquise Warford, who was named the specialist of the week. We had him flying around over the field doing many different things. What do you see from him this season?
Well, I guess the biggest thing, you know, just keeping him healthy and getting him to continue to play the way he played Saturday. He brings a lot to the table, and that's the thing that he can do, just get an understanding of the things that he have to do and stay healthy. That's the biggest thing. He's so competitive that even sometimes, you know, he want to practice. When we kind of give him a little time off, you know, he still want to be out there with the team, and that's the kind of guy he is. And he's a born winner. You know, he's a natural competitor. He likes to win, and just what he brings to the table, you know, special team wise, is phenomenal. Even in the offensive scheme and stuff that we have for him, you know, he's a great guy with the ball in his hand, and you know, I think he's going to be a very, very good player for us this year, and going to be able to compete with him and just keep him upright and keep him healthy is going to be the biggest key for us.
Do we have any other questions for Coach McNair?
Conference recording stopped.
All right, Coach. Well, we appreciate it coming on this week and answering some questions for us.
Well, thank you, Peter.
Next up, do we have Arkansas Pine Bluff coach Monte Coleman on the line?
Yes, I'm here.
Coach, good to have you with us.
Glad to be with you.
Conference recording started.
All right, Monte Coleman, Arkansas Pine Bluff head coach. They defeated Morehouse College 23-10 this past week. They will go on the road and play at Akron, 6:30 kickoff. The game can be seen on ESPN3. Coach, what are some of your opening remarks from this past weekend's win?
Well, of course, this is a happy Monday for us here in Golden Line Country. We beat a very good football team in Morehouse this past weekend. Coach Freeman brought his team ready to play. They started off fast against us. No one scored into the second quarter. They were able to kick a field goal, and we had a big turnover that gave them a short field, and they were able to get another touchdown, which the game finished, I think it was 23-10. But we caught our second win the second half. Keyshawn Williams, he finished with over 100 yards rushing. We've got another young man by the name of Christian Jordan. He finished with over 40, 50-some yards rushing. Brandon Duncan, our starting quarterback, he played well. We did have some boo-boos in there, threw some interceptions, and of course, when you go into the ball game, you're hoping and praying that you don't get the turnovers. We had 4 turnovers with the offense, and then another on special teams, so that's way too many. We were able to take the ball away twice with interceptions, but you definitely don't want to turn the football over. Overall, the effort of the team was good, and I think that's the reason why we were able to win the ball game, is because of our effort. Mistakes we can make. The mistakes that we made, of course, we can coach through those. But I was very pleased to see the effort that the guys put out during this particular ball game. It was a hot, humid night, and we had to substitute a lot of guys, but the guys came in and they gave us the effort that we needed. So very glad for the win. Happy Monday here.
All right, Coach, appreciate that. I'll open the floor for any questions for Coach Coleman at Arkansas Pine Bluff.
Coach Luke Williams from the Black College Sports Page. How are you today?
I am well.
I'm sure you got to be happy, but what was the focus at halftime? What did you have to correct at halftime when you went in down like you were?
The thing I told them at halftime was this has to be our football game. We've got to go out and we've got to concentrate more. We did have some penalties that negated first downs. We had some penalties that gave them first downs. So we had to be just a little bit more focused when we went back out the second half. And basically I just told them it's time to just take control. We've got to be more physical, see if they can play up to our level. And that's what the guys did. They went out and they played just a little bit harder for whatever reason. It was, like I said earlier in my opening statements, is if our second wind kicked in and the guys, they executed just a little bit better.
Getting 125 yards out of Keyshawn. I want to talk to you a little bit about Keyshawn, but talk about the offensive line and how they played.
We're a very young offensive line. I asked Coach Nivens, our offensive line coach, in our staff meeting yesterday, who played for him last year on the offensive line. And right now, we really don't have anybody. It's a whole new offensive line. We've got some young guys that's playing for us. We've got some transfers that's playing for us, and they're starting to gel together. Anytime you can rush for 200-plus yards, your offensive line has to be doing something. So in our team meeting, I complimented the offensive line, being as young as they are, hadn't gelled completely together, but I did compliment them on their ability to make running lanes for the running backs.
And coming off the kind of year you had last year, how did your team react to this opening win?
Oh, they were definitely excited, but my comments to them, we're not trying to make the championship game at this point. We're trying to win one game at a time, and you can't get to two if you don't get one. So we got the one, and the guys were, they were jumping around after the game during our meeting. They were jumping around, which they deserve to. Morehouse is a very good football team. Coach Freeman, does a great job. He's got some very, very talented ball players. He's got some All-American ball players on his team. They're big in size, so they matched up with us. So I look at this, not that we played down, because we all know that there's a lot of Division I ball players that can't get into Division I because of circumstances, and they only chance is to go Division II. So there was a lot of Division I ball players on his football team. So I felt very confident, very good coming out with the victory. But I lift my hat to Coach Freeman and his football team and coaching staff, because they were definitely prepared.
Coach, good morning to you, Ty Miller. How you doing?
Good morning, Ty.
You got the Akron Zips coming up next, and they had a tough one against Penn State, losing 52 zips. So what are your thoughts about Akron and going up to Ohio?
Well, we're playing up. They're going to be mad. Penn State kind of stuck it to them. Akron didn't have a very good day, and I suspect they will be anticipating a better day. I think their total yardage on offense was only like 150-some yards. Rushing, they had less than 100 yards. Passing, they had less than 100 yards. So, and you got to look at their opponent too. I think Penn State is ranked number 6 in the nation right now. So, they're a good football team, and that's how we're going to look at it. We're going in to try to upset them. We're the David, and of course they're the Goliath, and we're going to go in and try to play our best football game to capitalize on some of the things that we did good in this past game against Morehouse, and on the things that we did bad, we've got to get better at. And we're going in to upset Akron this week.
And those things you say that you did not do so well, because I guess a lot of teaching moments come when you win, because oftentimes, you know, that's when you can teach the best to young men. And it said that you make the biggest jump between the first and second weeks of the season. So what's the most important factor you think that your team needs to improve on?
We made way too many penalties. I don't know the number, but we had way too many penalties in this particular ball game. And it's hard to beat a good football team when you turn the ball over. And we turned the ball over way too much. So those are the things that we've got to concentrate on. The effort was definitely there. I was very pleased. The guys on the sideline stayed focused into the game. Everybody was locked in, and that was a good thing also. So we've got to improve on turnovers. We can't throw interceptions. We can't put the ball on the ground. And we've got to get more interceptions. In this particular ball game against Morehouse, we lost the giveaway takeaway, and I want to come out every game winning the giveaway takeaway. And those are some of the things that we've got to work on in preparation for Akron.
Thank you, Coach.
Thank you.
Coach, this is Peter from the conference office. I just wanted to get your thoughts on the fact that the team was able to come back from a 10-0 deficit. Is that important to you, that this team was able to win from behind?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. And you can look in their eyes, Pete, at halftime, and we came back out the third quarter. You could look in their eyes, and you can tell that, it was no quit in these guys. It was a hot night. Like I said, we played a lot of guys, but there was something just in the back of my mind or in my heart that I knew that these guys was not going to lay down, and we would win the football game. And all it took was one touchdown from Brandon to Jalen Collins, and then the ball rolling. The momentum changed, and the rest is history.
What kind of player do you think Keyshawn Williams is going to be this year for you?
I think he's going to be an outstanding player. I really do. The thing with Keyshawn, this is his junior year. He played as a true freshman for us, had some rushing yards as a true freshman, very untapped ability. Last year, was a little beat up and banged up, didn't get an opportunity to play quite as much. But from winter conditioning, through spring ball, through fall ball, Keyshawn has become one of our leaders. He's outworked and worked harder than anybody that we have on the team. So what he did last evening or evening before last on Saturday didn't surprise me because that's the type of effort he's had in practice. And my philosophy is you're going to play like you practice, and that's what he did. Some of the moves, some of the strength that he showed, definitely he does that in practice, and he showed it in the game. So I think it's going to be a great year, barring any injuries for him.
Conference recording stopped.
Appreciate that, Coach.
Thank you.
Moving along, do we have Grambling State Coach Broderick Fobbs on the line?
Yes, I'm here.
Coach, good to have you today.
Good to be here.
Conference recording started.
All right, Grambling State lost at Tulane 43-14 this past weekend. They will host Southwestern State Saturday at 6 p.m. Coach, can we get your opening thoughts on the game against Tulane?
Well, we'll be opening our home against Northwestern State. But just a little bit on the game versus Tulane University. Tulane's a really good football program. They've done a really good job of bringing in the players that they needed in year two to make significant upgrades. And I thought that we were ready to play. I thought that our kids played extremely hard. But early in the season, the focus is always execution and tackling. And when you look at it offensively, we didn't execute the way we were capable of executing. And then defensively, we had guys in spots, but you got to make the tackle. And that's just the way, this game is. You try to, keep everybody up, staying healthy throughout training camp. But you do have those days where you do try to tackle, but you want to try to maintain a level of health as well as you possibly can. And early in the year, that's always the concern is execution and tackling. And I thought that was the difference, in our ball game. I thought when it came to the kicking game, we broke even in the kicking game, and it boiled down to athlete for athlete. I thought that we matched up well with them. But at the end of the day, you have to tackle well and you have to execute on offense. And I thought that was the difference in the football game.
Appreciate that, Coach. We'll open the floor for any questions for Grambling State head coach Broderick Fobbs.
Coach Ty Miller from Sheridan Broadcasting. Good morning to you.
Hey, Ty. How you doing?
I'm good, Coach. In watching the highlights of the game and watching the game itself, you were right that your defense just seemed like they were out of place in spots. And was that just the basic lack of fundamentals, or what was going on there?
Well, I think at the end of the day, when you're preparing for that particular scheme, it presents a challenge in itself because, you have to slow down, and our defense is built on speed. And when you're playing option football, it becomes assignment football, and it becomes where your eyes are as opposed to just running and looking at your keys. So it presented a different challenge for us, and it's something that they're very good at, and it's something that they've been successful at other places as a staff. So it was a challenge, but at the end of the day, you still have to tackle, and you have to get guys off their feet. And I thought that that was the difference defensively, but offensively, I thought that we just didn't execute. And when it boils down to it, you have to execute. You have to move the football in order to be effective. And I thought that was the difference in the ball game.
In terms of Northwestern State, Coach, how much do you know about the Demons and the fact that they lost to Louisiana Tech? They played up as well. So what are your thoughts on this team?
Well, Northwestern State, I've been there. I've coached there. It's a blue-collar program. They've always been a tough, physical bunch. That's the brand of football that they have always played there, since the beginning of the program there a long time ago. They beat Louisiana Tech a couple years ago, and this year they had a shot at beating them again. Besides a couple of turnovers, they're in that ball game, and they have a chance to win it. So you're dealing with a team that's going to be a tough bunch. It's going to be a physical bunch. They can score the football. They can move the football. They can throw the football, and they can also run the football. So it's going to be a tough task. We do have them at home, but they're a tough opponent. Defensively, I've worked with their defense coordinator, Coach Laird, a very good football coach, and just a tremendous motivator of young men. So it's definitely going to be a challenge, to not only stop them but also score points.
Coach, just like when you took on the Green Wave, you're playing a team that, with a lot of the kids, they know the kids on the other team. So how much of a difference does it make for them to play games like this in state and against close people who could be considered, I guess, in a sense, rivals?
Well, I just think it makes sense. More so about funding and being able to stay in close headquarters as opposed to traveling 2 or 3 time zones across the country and then not being able to have too much to show for it. So I think it makes sense. I think it creates excitement, but then it also increases fan support as well when fans don't have to travel as far, and also in recruiting when you're able to get in different areas of the state. So we look forward to it. We enjoyed being in New Orleans and having the opportunity to play down there, as well as playing against Northwestern State this week. So I think it's a win-win situation to keep your money in the state and generate the revenue between each other.
Thank you, Coach.
Coach Charles Bishop, Dr. Cavill's inside the HBCU Sports Lab. I wanted to ask you, how excited are you all for the home opener, especially the opening up with the new turf in Eddie Robinson Stadium?
Well, it's exciting. Anytime you get an opportunity to play, a football game, it's exciting. It does give an extra bit of motivation, to be playing on such a great surface, and then the upgrades that have been made to our stadium. So it's good to do that, and we're excited about it. But at the end of the day, it's still a football game. We played on those type of surfaces before, but it is exciting, and more so for the fans than anyone else.
Thanks, Coach.
Do you have any questions for Coach Fobbs at Grambling State? All right, Oswald, this is Peter from the conference office. Coach, the offense didn't quite seem to get any gear in the game against Tulane, a lot of 3 and outs. The Tulane secondary was talked up quite a bit before the game. I think that was a big issue, just trying to get the passing going there.
Well, their entire defense, they did a really good job of really playing quality defense and getting after us, not only in the passing game but also in the running game. And they've made some major upgrades, to their team, with some additions up front, D-line wise, and then also they brought back the same secondary that they have several guys that are potential draft picks. So. My hat's off to those guys over there at Tulane. They've done a really good job of upgrading their entire football team. It's kind of tough at a place like Tulane to make those major upgrades due to the academic situation there, and it kind of limits you with what you're able to actually bring in. But obviously they've done a really good job of getting the right pieces, to their particular plan that they're putting in place.
Appreciate that, Coach.
Conference recording stopped.
All right. Do we have Jackson State coach Tony Hughes on the line?
Yes.
Coach, how you doing today?
I'm doing fantastic.
Conference recording started.
All right. Jackson State lost at TCU 63-0 this past weekend. They will play at Tennessee State, 6 p.m. kickoff Saturday on Fox Sports Southeast. Coach, your opening remarks from this past weekend's game.
Well, it's tough to lose to a FBS opponent on the road early in the season with a young team, but our team responded very well. We played extremely hard. We were able to get out of there. We had one key injury. We lost one starter, Frank Carter, and a couple of kids are bruised and banged up, but hopefully they'll be recovered this week for Tennessee State. You're playing a superior opponent, a Power 5 school that 2 years ago was in the running for the national championship and a playoff berth, a traditional power that is a top 10 winning program over the last 20-something years. And going in there, our kids didn't blink. They played with confidence. They played with energy. And it was very complimentary from Coach Gary Patterson, who said after the game that our kids played really, really hard, which is the ultimate compliment for your team. Of course, we were shut out in the game, and we gave up 63 points. So there's a lot of work for us to do on this side. So hopefully we don't have much time to prepare for a great Tennessee State team that beat a Division I opponent in their opening game. So at this point, we just got to rally up and get ready to go to Memphis this week.
All right, I'll open the floor for any questions for Jackson State head coach Tony Hughes.
Coach Hughes, Charles Bishop, Dr. Cavill is inside the HBCU Sports Lab. You guys really had a strong opening drive against TCU, which subsequently strip sack, fumble, and then a fake punt. Kind of talk about what went into the thought process on the fake punt on that on that opening drive.
Well, what we wanted to do was we wanted to kick a field goal if the ball had stayed close, and we were out of range for our field goal kicker. In a game like that, if you even at the first drive and just having an opportunity to get down there and score against a great defense that they have and their team is made on defense, we had the ball inside the 4, and you really want to try to score even if you 4 downs. You're saying, first, second, third, fourth down. If it's fourth and an inch, let's score. Don't worry about kicking a field goal. Once we got knocked out of scoring range, we said, well, let's kick the field goal, and then we got the penalty and the ball's on the 35. Now we're in no man's land. Either it's fourth and 35. We try a long field goal, which is out of our range. It's about a 52-yarder, or we punt it and try to pin it in. More than likely, it's going into the end zone. So you know what? We've been working on fakes, and we're playing a team that's superior. Maybe we can trick them. Maybe we can fool them. Let's not take the fake punt home and just try to produce a big play or something to shake up our sideline and get our people excited that maybe we catch TCU sleeping or napping in that particular situation. So we were kind of in no man's land at the 35, out of field goal range. We couldn't really leave the offense and go for it on 4th and 35. So we just tried a fake punt that we've been working on and see if we could execute it. And we didn't execute it, but we sent a message out to everybody else that we play against that we will fake a punt. And so everybody has to prepare for a fake punt now.
Moving forward, Coach, against Tennessee State, they look tremendously physical against an FBS opponent in Georgia State. Do you think playing TCU kind of prepared you for that physicality of Tennessee State's offensive line?
There's no question. I mean, Tennessee State is an elite program, not just in the HBCU, but it's LCS. They were a playoff caliber team last year. They're a playoff caliber team this year. They're in a power conference, the OVC. They're upper echelon team in the OVC every single year. We have a tremendous challenge in front of us, going up there to Memphis every single year, playing them in their home state with their fans. It's like a home game for them every time we go. I think they've won 12 out of the last 14. It used to be a rivalry, so there's no doubt their size, their physicality, their great coaching, the great athletes, the great quarterback from Florida. They're just so great at everything that they do. Their defense just smothered Georgia State, and so we just have to go up there and do what we do, and get our team ready to play up to the best of our ability.
Thank you, Coach.
You're welcome.
Coach, can you look at the fact, this is Ty Miller from Sheridan Broadcasting, look at the fact that Tennessee State had 238 yards rushing. So, can you talk about that and the fact that that's one aspect of the team of the game that your team has to pay attention to?
Well, no question. And a lot of the running is their quarterback scrambles. If you watch the film, he drops back to pass. There's nowhere to pass it, and then he escapes and makes long runs and keeps drives alive. I can't remember what he got per carry, but I'm sure it's pretty high. And then they've always prided themselves on running the football. I mean, they're a tough, physical football team that likes to run the football. So 238 yards is definitely a concern for us. And, of course, that's the way we're made, too. We're big up front, and hopefully we can slow them down just a little bit and keep the quarterback contained from making as many big scramble plays.
Were there any significant injuries for your team this past weekend?
Yes, our starting left guard, Frank Carter, went down with a sprained ankle. I don't know if he'll be ready to play. He's a 4-year starter for us, and it was a big blow. We lost him in the first half, and he's also the leader of our offensive line, and so that's a major concern for us going against such a great defense that we'll have to face again this week. But we had a couple of kids bruised and banged, but as of this point, Frank's the only one. He's the most serious, questionable guy we have at this point.
And Coach Hughes, not that you didn't respect Tennessee State in the first place, but how much more attention did you pay when you saw the final score against Georgia State? Well,
we knew that they were going to be a tough matchup for us. I mean, they've got resources. They're in an upper echelon conference. They finish in the top 3 in that conference every single year against great competition, people they recruit well. They got I couldn't tell you how many, 5-10 Division I athletes that will be starting in the SEC. And so, regardless of beating Georgia State or not, we knew that that's going to be a tough matchup for us. And not only that, then we got Grambling next week, and then we had TCU the first game. So there's no doubt that we have the toughest schedule, 3-game schedule of any other school in HBCU, maybe in FCS in the country. So, in our preparation, we've prepared ourselves for another tough physical game back-to-back, and so it's definitely a challenge for us, for sure.
Hey, Coach, this is David Squires from the Undefeated. It seems that a lot of the schools in the SWAC and the MEAC also are moving away from playing these elite Power 5 teams and moving to sort of a philosophy of playing some of the regional Power 5s and also playing some FBS teams that are non-Power 5. Do you think that's a better fit for the football team, particularly in losing starters early in the season? I know that can happen for any team. Florida State lost its quarterback. But do you think that's a better fit for the HBCU schools?
Well, I definitely agree that, like, next year we play Southern Mississippi. The year after that we play South Alabama. And I definitely agree with that because, playing Southern Mississippi next year, definitely, it gets the fan bases excited. You're playing somebody from in-state that you're familiar with than a TCU, on the road, their first game. It gives our kids a lot more incentive, our fans a lot more incentive to travel. And, and then even they have kids at Southern Mississippi that are familiar with our kids, high school teammates and things like that. So it's just like, Grambling playing Tulane, that type of rivalry, I think is healthy for everybody. And then, the financial rewards may not be as big, but the other things that you can accomplish by playing those games early, I think it is definitely positive and more positive than playing a Power 5 school on the road early in the season.
Coach, appreciate that.
Yes.
Conference recording stopped.
All right, next up, do we have Mississippi Valley State coach Rick Comegy on the line?
Yes, I am.
Coach, good to have you here.
Thank you very much.
Conference recording started.
All right, Mississippi Valley State lost to number 2 North Dakota State 72-7 this past weekend. Up next, they will travel to play at South Illinois, 6 p.m. kickoff on ESPN 3. Coach, your opening remarks from this past weekend's game.
Well, the best thing I can, say is they took us to the woodshed. They were a good football team, and we knew it going up there. But we went up there to play, because we realized the game is played between the lines, and they just outmatched us in the pit. They were just a better football team that day. They executed well. We couldn't get anything going, from offense or really on the defense side of the ball because they really came after us pretty good, and they put 30 points on the board in the first quarter, and put our offense in a bad situation there. One of the bright spots was our kickoff return, and we on the first kickoff, we returned it all the way down to about their 25, and from there they just backed us out of there to about, kept backing us up, and we couldn't get in from there. We just had a rough day. Our special teams did not play well. Our punter didn't punt well, and things that we expected to happen just didn't happen. We kind of got out of whack once they started driving the football and pounding us down, on the ground, and then they play action in the air and things of that nature. They just kept us off balance, and they did a fantastic job. And we watched film this morning with the kids, and and had a great film study. I think we needed that game. We needed that speed. We needed to see that strength. We needed to see some of those things that you don't see in practice. And so I think as we weave through these games and work our way down with Southern Illinois and Grambling and then Charleston Southern and get with that first 4 is a very tough schedule, but yet and still I think we're going to get better as we go each week. Thank God we didn't get anybody hurt. Kids played to the end, but it just wasn't enough. It just wasn't enough. North Dakota State's a real fine football team, and I can see now, why they're always on top, why they're always in playoffs and things of that nature. You can see the difference in the level, the speed level, the strength level, the size level. They were big and they were good, and they could move with that size. So, and had some great running backs and wide receivers, and we tried. We did everything we could. We tried to put some wrinkles in there, but they were just a good, solid, sound team. Now I think after seeing the film that we're going to be a better team next week. Looking forward to playing. So I just hope that we can stay healthy as we weave through this and make this thing happen.
All right, thanks for that, Coach. I'll open the floor up for any questions for Mississippi Valley State head coach Rick Comegy.
Hey, Coach, this is Todd Efferman with the Southern Illinoisan. What did you like out of Christian Fowler's performance, and are you considering starting him this weekend?
Well, we're going to go back. Christian played well. Christian played very well when he got in, but, we dropped a lot of footballs on the other young man, Jet Even. We dropped a lot of footballs. He had some great checks, some great, dump downs and things of that nature, which we could have played a game with these guys, but our receivers, at, that closing speed by their DBs just weren't ready at the point, and I'm glad they had a chance to feel that and see those type of things. But Fowler played well when he got in. I was very happy with him, but I do believe that we pulled Jed out in the first quarter because we don't want him to get hurt because they're putting so much pressure out of their front four and even their outside game with their blast blitz from the outside. So we decided to go ahead and pull him out and put some of the other guys in to get him some playing time. And I think we got everybody some playing time, which will help mature our entire football team. And so there's some positives that came out of it, some good playing time that came out of it, but you don't want to be beat 72-7 or something of that nature. You just don't want to get beat like that, but it happened. And so they beat us, they took us to the woodshed and they beat us pretty good. We got on a flight and came on back, and now we're preparing for the next game.
Do you, how well Chambers played? Do you think about playing him more at wide receiver, or do you like
no doubt about it? We're no doubt about Chambers got to be on that football field for us. He's a excellent ball player, and we got to use him more than just on. He's done a fine job. We got to use him more than just on kickoff returns and punt returns because he can make things happen for us. But we had a lot of drop balls out of our wide receivers this week, and I talked to our receiver coach, and he has felt that the guys kind of this being on that stage for some of them, because they were young and didn't play last year, being first on that stage, I think maybe some of them got shook and maybe a little tense, and they just didn't pick the balls up like they did in practice.
And Southern has a couple different pieces, but they return a lot of people too. How different do you think they'll look in their first game than what you saw in film last year?
Southern Illinois, you're talking about? Well,
yes.
They're a sound football team from the piece I saw of them. Right now, we were concentrating on, our own game field, and we're going to start on Southern Illinois here in a few. But the thing is that, they got a quarter, they spread you out. They got a quarterback that can really, run that, zone option and do a good job at that, because that's what type of team they are. And the defense will, get at you. They gang tackle. They get to the football in a hurry. We have our hands full, but I'm excited about this. I'm excited to see from one week to the other, especially after coming off a game with the North Dakota State and then going into this playing Southern Illinois. I'm excited about their size is not the same size. There's a difference in size, but yet and still the speed level is the same, and hopefully our speed level will pick up because we're going to use rest as a weapon a little bit more this week.
Thank you, Coach.
Thank you.
Coach Comegy, Charles Bishop.
Go ahead.
Coach Comegy, Charles Bishop, Dr. Bills inside the HBCU Sports Lab. How important was it to get Booker Chambers? How important was it to get Booker Chambers back to the team, and especially with all that he can do offensively? How important was it for him to come back?
It was very important. I know his mother wanted him here, and I knew that down deep in his heart he wanted to be here as well. But it happens. A lot of kids are young; they think grass is greener on the other side, and and guys want to go here and go there and do this and all that kind of stuff. And some of the guys that left are dying to come back on the team. They're at school here. But I'm not letting them all back. They have to make a decision as a man, and if I don't feel that their attitude is just right for our football team, then, we don't want to go through bad attitudes. We want a good, solid football program with guys, wanting to be part of it, not guys who are looking at the other side, worried about who's over here, what somebody else is doing. We're worried about what Valley's doing, and that's what we're trying to do here right now, is worry about what we do and how we handle our business, so we can't worry about some of the other things that, may go on in a young man's mind. And if their parents are making that decision, and they made the decision for their own son, and, and nothing you can do about that but wish them the best of luck and, and wish them well. But to go and come back, that's going to be very, very difficult for a lot of guys who came back to school after deciding they wanted to maybe go somewhere else, and they're walking around campus now. We're not going to, if they weren't, if they were a bad egg, or if they just didn't have the right attitude before, it's not going to change, because I don't think Leopard changed their spot.
Thanks, Coach.
Coach, this is Peter from the conference office. Can you describe the atmosphere up at North Dakota State?
Well, it was a great atmosphere. As a matter of fact, they treated us very, very well, from bus drivers to the eateries and different things of that nature. It was a great trip for the kids, and I guess some of those kids have probably never seen North Dakota or Fargo, North Dakota ever again in their lives, and that was a great experience for them. The football game, was a whole different story. They guys just, beat us pretty good up front and both sides of the ball, and but it was a great trip, and I saw some things that in Fargo, North Dakota, that I never thought that they had. I thought it was all flat land, but they got a real nice college town in there. We're flooded with people. Inside the stadium, they pack it, and the noise level is extremely high. They love their football. Everywhere you go is North Dakota State University written somewhere in the airports, and they just they have something that a lot of school people don't have, and they're up there by themselves and alone, and they got smaller schools around them, but they are the cream of the crop up there, and they know it, and people come to watch them play, and they fill that stadium, and they got a lot of money up there.
Conference recording stopped.
Appreciate that, Coach.
Thank you very much.
Hey, Coach.
Next up, we have Prairie View A&M head football coach Willie Simmons on the line.
Yes, sir.
Coach, good to have you.
Good to be here.
Conference recording started.
All right, Prairie View is still looking to play their first game of the season due to the hurricane effects. They were postponed last week against Texas Southern in the Labor Day Classic. That game has been moved to Thanksgiving week. They will host number 3 Sam Houston State this Thursday, 6:30. The game could be viewed on ESPNU. Coach, just opening remarks. Does the wait feel as long as it has?
Well, it's all part of I guess God's plan, and we tried to make the most of a tough situation. Of course, with Hurricane Harvey and all of the destruction it's caused, it's affected a lot of our players, a lot of our students, even a lot of our professors and staff here at the university. So I tip my hat to our president, interim president, Dr. Ruth Simmons, and all the administration for the job they've done in ensuring that we're all taken care of the best as we can. So we're excited to be able to get back on the football field, and we have a huge test and challenge coming up this week, and we're looking forward to it, and hopefully we can start the season off on the right note.
All right, I'll open the floor for any questions for Prairie View A&M head coach Willie Simmons.
Coach Simmons, Charles Bishop, Dr. Cavill's inside the HBCU sports lab. Coach, I wanted to ask, aside from football, how is the team's psyche with everything that has kind of gone on with Hurricane Harvey?
Well, I think now, being that we've been back for a few days now and been able to get back on the field and really get back into the swing of things, I think it's really gotten us back to a sense of normalcy. Of course, last week was very tough for us, and as coaches, we try to do our best job to make sure that our student athletes were taken care of, the ones that stay here on campus, making sure they were able to eat, able to be entertained. And we had some movies and stuff that we did for them. So again, I tip my hat to the administration for what they've done. But once we got back, we kind of had to channel them back in, and of course with the challenge ahead of us going against the number 3 team in the country, I don't think I had to do too much of a job to get them motivated for this one, because we understand the magnitude of this game and getting the added bonus of being on national television.
Any other questions for Coach Simmons? All right, Coach, this is Peter from the conference office. You have 2 of the highest scoring offenses around when you consider a Prairie View and Sam Houston State matchup. How do you go and prepare for a game like that when you know you're facing such a potent offense?
Well, I think both offenses are very similar in our approaches to how we execute. It's all based on execution. It's based on establishing the tempo and being efficient with what we do as far as converting our third downs, not turning the ball over, and continuing to move the chains. And I think both teams, if you look at us, that's what we base it upon. So the challenge will be on the defenses to try to neutralize that. Again, we have to be great on third down against them. We have to be really good in the red zone, and we got to find a way to get them behind the chains. If they can stay in second and mediums and shorts and third and shorts, they really increase their chances of being efficient. And that's what we try to do as well on our side of the ball. So I think going against our offense every day in practice, our defense has had a good barometer of what type of team they'll see coming in Thursday. And we are the two last FCS leaders in scoring. We led the nation in scoring in 2015. Of course, they led the nation in scoring in 2016. So it'll be interesting to see which offense can kind of establish their tempo and do the things that we do best.
Did your team have any advantage in being able to watch Sam Houston State from this past week, where normally you're in a game day situation where you have your own game to concern yourself with, but did you and your staff and your team get a chance to watch film on Sam Houston State?
Again, they were televised, so it gave us a chance as coaches and players to watch them. And they have two new coordinators. Of course, their offensive coordinator moved on to Ole Miss, and the defensive coordinator moved on to Wake Forest. So they had to replace both of those guys, and so it was good to see them on film and kind of see how much they've changed. Of course, you never know, the element of surprise whenever you have coordinator changes. We didn't anticipate them changing a bunch. I mean, they were 14-1. They didn't lose a game in the regular season, and they led the nation in scoring and were pretty good on defense as well. So, again, I didn't anticipate many changes, but it was good for the team and coaches to be able to kind of get an early scout on them, being that it's our first game. And, of course, they don't get the chance to do that with us because we haven't played yet.
Coach Simmons, with some of the wins by HBCUs over the past weekend, what does it say about the level of football on the HBCU level, and how inspiring can that be going into Thursday night for your team?
Well, it's really exciting, for HBCU football, for the SWAC and the MEAC, to have those marquee wins. Tennessee State, even though they're not a member of one of those conferences, we still feel like they're one of our brothers, being an HBCU. So it was great to watch them beat Georgia State. Of course, Howard going to UNLV and pulling off the largest upset by point spread in college football history. North Carolina A&T beating up on Gardner-Webb pretty bad. And, so again, it's really, really refreshing to see the level of play, to continue to go up in HBCU football. And like I've been saying since I got into this league 5 years ago, there are a ton of great coaches in this league. There are a ton of great players in this league. And I think just given the opportunity, nationally, people will begin to see that. And we have 3 great examples this past week, in that, and hopefully, we can do our job and do the 4th.
Coach Feeder again from the conference office. What's the mindset when you're facing a quarterback like Jeremiah Briscoe, who, won the Walter Payton Award last year? You know what he's capable of.
He's a fine football player. I mean, he's deserving of every award he's gotten. You watch him on film; he's very poised. He has a live arm, and he has some really good players around him and a really good scheme. So for us, the mindset is we got to get him uncomfortable. We have to make him. We have to knock him off his spot. We can't allow him to set up in his sweet spots in the pocket and have all day to throw the football. He's got, like I said, he's got really good players, but he's a savvy football player. So whenever you play a quarterback of that caliber, you have to find a way to get to him. And again, no matter how great a quarterback is, after taking a number of shots, it typically begins to knock the rhythm off a little bit. So we got to find a way to get pressure on him, whether it be rushing with 4 or blitzing with 5 or more. We got to find a way to get him uncomfortable because if we allow him to sit in the pocket for 60 minutes, we'll have a long day.
is the key to slow down the game and try to keep them off the field as much as possible?
Well, that's definitely something that we're looking into. Again, they're a team that wants to get a ton of plays on offense, but on the flip side, we're a team that wants to get a ton of plays on offense as well. So, again, I think you have two offenses who share similar philosophies. Defensively, our base defense is the same as far as our personnel groupings. I think we're a little bit more multiple than they are with what we do, but at the end of the day, I think it's going to be a test of who can do what they do best. They're a great team. They're the number 3 team in FCS football, but I'm not going to go so far as to say they're like playing a Texas A&M, where they're going to have a lot more depth, a lot more size. I mean, they have 63 scholarships just like we do, and so again for us, I think it's finding a way to establish our tempo. It's finding a way to get them off the field in third down situations, like I alluded to earlier, and finding a way to win the kicking game. And if we do those things, I think we give ourselves a really good chance against a very good football team. I think we're a really good football team.
Conference recording stopped.
Appreciate that, Coach Simmons.
Thank you.
All right, next up, do we have Southern head football coach Dawson Odums on the line?
Yes, I'm here.
Coach, how you doing today?
Doing great. How you doing?
Conference recording started.
All right, Southern defeated South Carolina State 14-8 in the MEAC SWAC Challenge yesterday. The lone Sunday game of this week's slate. They'll play at Southern Miss this Saturday, 1:30 p.m. on Stadium TV. Coach, your opening remarks from yesterday's win against South Carolina State.
Well, I really thought that it was going to be a defensive battle going in. They're as advertised on defense. They're a physical group of guys. They're going to challenge your receivers. They're going to challenge your offensive line, and they have one of the better players in college football, Darius on defense, who is as advertised. He looks the part, he plays the part, and we had a hard time blocking him. He made plays all over the field. There's a reason he's been one of the top tacklers in the MEAC. But we had to play, and we knew that coming in. I think it's a great game and a great challenge for us to start the season. You get a chance to figure out, how you match up against some of the top LCS talent, and I really thought we played hard. The biggest thing, I'm pleased with is that we were very competitive in the fight and grit that the guys play with. And that's been a calling card in our program for a long time. We made a lot of mistakes, 9 penalties for 108 yards, dropped some passes. We turned the ball over a couple of times. We were blessed to get some turnovers, which balanced that out. But, going forward, we got to get better. And I really think that, there's plays there to be made, but we got to polish up our execution. First time with officials, going live against a different color, speed of the game, just getting adjusted to all that, give us a chance to go forward and really try to get this football team better. But I really think that we got a good football team. We just got to clean up some of the mistakes that we made, and now we got to turn to Southern Miss, who's a very good football team that we're going to face.
All right, appreciate that, Coach. I'll open the floor up for any questions for Southern coach Dawson Odums.
Coach Odums, Charles Bishop, Dr. Cavilles inside the HBCU Sports Lab, Houston, Texas. I want to ask about that last play. It looked like your cornerback, Danny Jackson, he went over to that side to take that assignment. Was that a call from the sidelines, or was that him taking the initiative and wanting to be out there on that island?
Well, no, we had him matched up on number one, and the biggest thing you got to know is when the game's on the line, it's really not about the play that's called. It's about defending playmakers, because most people put the ball in their best player hands. And he said we're going to put our best player, our best cover guy, on their best wide receiver, and if they go their way, somebody got to make a play. And we were blessed and fortunate that, Danny came up with a play, but he's made plenty of plays for us.
And I wanted to follow up by asking about the health of Austin Howard. I saw he did go down, but he seemed to be back up on the sidelines. Going forward, will we see Austin Howard this upcoming week?
Well, I know, with it being Labor Day today, he'll get further evaluated tomorrow. But I really think we needed him in that game. We could have put him back in, but I don't know the extent of the damage or where he's at right now. They're going to further evaluate it on tomorrow.
Thank you, Coach.
Hey, Dawson, it's Luke. How are you?
Hey, Luke, doing great, man.
Hey, I wanted to ask you, how was the short week affecting y'all? Did you give the guys a day off today, and did that affect your preparation at all for turning around and playing in 5 days instead of 6?
I mean, it's a different timetable, but you knew this starting the season, so what you got to do, you know how to put your plan in place, and you just go ahead and and you attack that plan. Our guys are off today. They'll come in this evening. Maybe get some corrections made from the film, and then we'll go get ready for Southern Miss tomorrow. At the end of the day, we knew this was scheduled. We knew this how it was set up. So now you make the adjustments and do some pre-planning, and then you get ready to go play football.
Did you guys have any other injuries besides Austin in that game? It seemed like you guys got out pretty clean.
We did, other than some knacks and a few bruises and bumps here and there, but nothing major. He's a major concern right now, but I feel confident that he's going to be okay. He could have went back in the game. I think they just got to rule out any damage and really just clear their heads mentally from hoping everything is okay. He could have went back in the game, and that's tough. He's tough as they come. So other than him, we have no more injuries.
I know Southern Miss has a couple guys on offense in particular who will probably be playing on Sundays next year. I know Staggers didn't have a catch against Kentucky, but he's been one of the best playmakers. And then Edo Smith, the running back, is also really good. What kind of challenge do those guys present?
I mean, they're a good football team. I mean, they played Kentucky down to the wire. They beat Kentucky a year ago. They went to a bowl game last year. This definitely is not a cupcake start to the season. We don't have any of those. So I mean, we got to buckle up those chin straps and go play. I mean, they're a very good football team, and they're gonna be a great test for us because they're not only good on offense, they're very solid on defense as well and special teams. So Coach Hobson's done a great job taking over. This is his second year, getting things in place. Usually from year 1 to year 2, you get a little bit better. Coaches know players a little bit better. Everybody's a lot familiar with what's going on. And it's going to be tough. It's going to be tough going up there. It's their home opener for this year. They just got beat, so I'm quite sure they'll be ready to get out to us, and we're going to have to be prepared because we're going to play against a very good football team.
Coach, good morning to you. Ty Miller. And knowing that you know Jay Hobson from years past at Alcorn State, and you just mentioned the fact that his players are know him better, what do you know about him that could possibly help Southern in this game?
Well, it's not really him. You got to know about the offensive coordinator, defensive coordinator, special teams coordinator. That's what it's all about. Getting familiar with those guys. They're the ones going to be calling plays, and if we can just get lined up, not give up big plays, tackle well, play good, fundamentally sound football. It's not like you go just bully them, and you're gonna have to make some plays. Sometimes we'll have to make some plays in order to have a chance. And we're going to see. We're going to kick the ball off, and we're going to see if we can go make some plays and hopefully make enough plays to give yourself a chance to win a football game.
And, Coach, your takeaways from Sunday's game against South Carolina State, what's the biggest improvement that's needed on your team from week 1 to week 2?
Well, we got to get better in the penalty. We had 9 penalties for 108 yards. That's unacceptable. That's poor discipline. And I take sole responsibility for it. We got to get this football team more mentally in tune to what's going on so we can have a chance to execute. But it got to be the penalties. That's what's disheartening, and not very happy with the number of penalties. So we'll we'll get better. We'll clean it up this week.
This is 38 West 94th Street.
Coach, this is Peter from the conference office. Can you evaluate the performance by Devin Ben? I thought he was able to do a couple different things for you with all the combo yards that he was able to pick. What's his role for this season?
Well, I mean, I think he's a good football player for us. He can play the ball well out the backfield. He's explosive. Got some shiftiness to him. Spurs to be in the mix of us what we're doing on offense. We'll find a way to get him the football. Get it, he can make it happen. And I think we got some freshmen that are like that, redshirt freshmen that are going to have to step up. Seems to be good this year.
Hey, go to SWAC.org right quick.
Conference recording stopped.
Appreciate that, Coach Odums.
Okay, thank you all. Go Jags.
Next up, we have Texas Southern head coach Michael Haywood on the line.
Hello.
Hey, Coach, how's it going?
Doing well, and yourself?
Good to have you on.
Conference recording started.
All right, Texas Southern was postponed last week against Prairie View A&M. They will host Houston Baptist this Thursday, 7:30 kick. The game can be seen on AT&T Sports Net. Coach, your opening remarks. I know you had a little wait here since you had that early game and the official week 0 against Florida A&M. What's the break been like for you?
Well, the break has been it's something that we really needed after the lack of discipline that we had in the game opener, because we didn't perform very well on either side of the ball, offense, defense, special teams. So the break has been good for us as far as that's concerned, preparing for HBU. However, it's been somewhat taxing because we've had 6 players' families lose their homes. So we're trying to do some things to help them and bring some ease and comfort to the players in which we have, so that their parents can move to different locations and stay with family members. So it's been a little challenging as far as that's concerned. But we're looking forward to playing HBU, and Spady has a really good football team, really physical football team. And they played Texas State the other day, was not very successful in the challenge. But they have a freshman quarterback who can really sling it. And so we're looking forward to the challenge.
This is a reminder for anyone else on the call. Please press *4 to mute your line. There's picking up some background noise on this recording. We greatly appreciate it. I'll also now open up the questions, if anyone has any, for Texas Southern coach Michael Haywood.
Coach Haywood, Charles Bishop, Dr.
Hello, Charles. How you doing?
Hey, how you doing, Coach Haywood? I wanted to ask you really quick about some of the players at HBU. Terrence Peters, the focal point of their offense. Talk a little bit about what you've seen thus far with HBU.
Well, HBU really is an experienced offensive unit, except for the quarterback. They do a nice job of running the football, do a nice job of play-action pass. The receivers are good players. They're not as good as the ones we faced a couple of weeks against FAMU, but they're good players. They have an opportunity to move the ball up and down the field because they don't make very many mistakes, and they're a well-disciplined football team. So I think that there's a great opportunity for us to have success because we're going to really have to simplify the things in which we do, because we go into the game versus FAMU and had a great week of practice with minimal mental errors, and we get in there and we had over 50 mental errors in a game, which I've never heard of before. And from a psychological point of view, it's called the choke syndrome. the lack of discipline that you have off the field carries over to on the field, and that's where the mental error comes from, and that's where I have to tighten up the ship and do a better job.
Thanks, Coach.
Hey, Coach. This is Glenn with the Houston Chronicle. I'm curious, can you talk to me a little bit about what the team's mindset has been the past week and how much you expect what they're dealing with off the field to maybe be on their minds on Thursday?
Can you say that again? Because I can barely hear you with the background noise. I don't know where that's coming from.
Sure. Can you talk to me a little bit about what the team's mindset had been last week, and what you think, how much you think what they've been dealing with off the field might be on their minds going into Thursday?
Well,
Line muted.
We gave them off until I think it was Wednesday, Thursday, which we're off to, and that was primarily for them to get together with their families. Some of the families, such as R.J. Claiborne, that lives out in Katy. His family won't be able to get back into their house for 2 to 3 weeks. You know, there's 6 foot of water in their house, and so they can't get back in. But for his parents to be able to get back from the FAMU game, it took them a few days, and now they're staying with some friends. You know, it gives them a sense of comfort to see his mom and dad know that they're all right. Although they lost their house and 3 cars, he can see that how happy they are to see him, to make sure that he's all right. The other thing is that there was an unease with the kids on campus, and one of the things we did is that Coach Matt Jones, myself, and the defense coordinator Tom Anthony, we got together one day and we just went to HEB and we just made 112 snack bags with ham sandwiches, turkey sandwiches, peanut butter, apple oranges and bananas, fruit bars, chips, Powerade, just to get them to settle down and just to spend a little time with them so that they can relax and say, hey, this is going to be all right, because in reality they're just kids. And we've come back and really had 3 really good practices this past so far. We've had 3 really good practices. And we just walked off the field at 11:06 this morning and had a good practice for HBU. So I think that everything has settled back down and people are getting their feet back on the ground. And I just believe that we're going to have a better showing this week than we did 2 weeks ago.
Appreciate that, Coach. Last question before I let you go. What do you really, 1 or 2 things that you're maybe looking to really improve coming off of that Florida A&M game?
Line unmuted.
Mental errors for the football team, because we had a significant number of mental errors on offense, a significant number of mental errors on defense.
Line muted.
Sometimes coaches want to say, well, coach, we're playing so many X, Y, and Z freshmen. That doesn't matter. I mean, it's technique, fundamentals, understanding what your responsibility is, and playing within the system. And the other thing is that, and in special teams, we were atrocious on special teams, and that was something that kept us in every football game last year. May it be the kicker, the punter, or the coverage unit, or the return units. We made multiple mistakes in all phases of the special teams. So we have really hit that hard over the last 3 days, and may it be through walkthrough or third situations in practice, we have really emphasized that this week in practice. And then HBU is solid in special teams. They don't make mistakes, don't do anything great, don't do anything bad. They're just consistent, which will keep you in a football game, and you won't lose a football game by doing it that way.
Thanks, Coach.
Coach, this is Peter from the conference office. What are some of the big improvements you're looking to make in this week's game?
The most improvement is with the quarterback. Making sure that we give him a comfort zone. We've simplified the offensive package. Although he's a senior, this will be the only 3rd game that he's played in, and he played a half a game as last year, and then he's only played 1 full game. And although he's an intelligent guy, when those bullets start to fly, you know, he didn't answer the call. So we have to make sure that he's comfortable. We limited the package in which we put in, limited the checks. And I think that as a leader, he'll do a much better job this week than he did 2 weeks ago.